Millions and millions of Americans are struggling because right now they have to sacrifice their health, their children, even their happiness just to ensure they have a place to live. Now, I want to address what's going on here and why many are extremely worried about what they are potentially going to face at the end of 2024 and in 2025. I want to break down a survey that was done by Redfin just recently, explain what we are seeing and where many people are really struggling. So make sure you stick around for this entire video and I'll explain exactly what is going on. But all I ask is one thing, it takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now let's begin. Now I want to get to a specific survey, and it actually is kind of defined in this article right here. This is on Redfin News, and it says, skipping meals and working overtime, the sacrifices Americans make to afford housing. Now, I first want to come out and just tell you my story, all right? I didn't always have money. Well, we didn't, my family and I, my wife and I, we didn't always have money in the bank. Our cars were not always paid off. We didn't have real estate. We didn't have all this stuff, very early on. And you have to make sacrifices. But some of the sacrifices that the American people are making right now, some of these are actually very worrisome because their health and happiness are actually getting sacrificed. Now, I want to read you a little bit from this article. Look at this. It says half of homeowners and renters struggle to afford their housing payments. A recent Redfin survey found roughly 1 in 5 people who struggle to afford housing have skipped meals and or worked extra hours to help cover costs, while about 1 in 6 have delayed medical care. It says skipping vacations was the most common sacrifice among white and Asian respondents, while black respondents were most likely to work extra hours. It says a surprisingly high share of millennials, most of whom are not retired, have dipped into retirement savings so they can afford housing. Now, in just a second, I'm going to show you these numbers. And these numbers are fairly scary. Now, I understand not everyone needs a vacation. And if you can skip a vacation, you either don't take it or you take a shorter vacation. It just makes more sense. Instead of spending thousands and thousands of dollars to go to Hawaii or Mexico or Florida or Spain. If you don't have to take a vacation, don't do it. Just save the money. But it's some of these other things that I find fairly disturbing. Now, I'm going to show you these, and in just a moment, I'm going to explain what I do in order to just save a little bit of money. So make sure you stick around until the end of this video. But look at this. It says the most common sacrifices people make to afford housing. It says, which of the following sacrifices did you make in the past year to afford your monthly housing costs, including mortgage or rent, insurance, parking, heating, cooling, electricity, or home ownership association dues? Select all that apply. Now, look at this. Took no or fewer vacations, 34.5% of people. Skipped meals, 22%. That is what I find disturbing. I can take less vacations. I can work more hours or, invest more or whatever, right? I can do that. But skipping a meal to ensure that I make my housing payment, that's crazy. But at the same time, these are people that understand they have to pay for their home. They have to pay that mortgage. They have to pay that rent because there's no mortgage forbearance. There's no rental assistance anymore, right? We're not seeing a certain city or state cover 18 months of rental assistance. That was a pandemic era policy. That was pandemic funding. Not anymore. We don't have that. So for all these people that are skipping meals, I understand. I get it. Here's something you can do to actually save a little bit of money though. You cook bigger meals and then you prep. You take the meals that you make. Maybe it's a big pot of spaghetti. Hey, it's pretty inexpensive. Get some spaghetti sauce, some noodles, maybe some meat, some ground beef, or you just have spaghetti sauce and noodles. You cook it. You put it in a little little container like this, and you got 5 days worth worth of meals, right? It's not going to be exciting, but at the same time, I don't want you skipping meals, right? This is something, I have these exact same containers. Absolutely love them. Okay, I'll put a link to these down in the description box below. But that's just one of the things you can do. Let's keep looking at this. It says 20.7% worked additional hours or shifts at their job. I get it. That makes sense. Just work a little bit extra, maybe an extra 2 hours per week. That's 8 hours per month. And let's say you get $20 an hour. There you go, right? You get an extra, what, $160? That's not bad a month. It's not a massive amount of money, but it's something, right? Hopefully that way you don't have to skip meals. It says 20.6% sold their belongings. I want to tell you another story as well. And I've talked about this before, where I sold a newer cell phone and bought an older cell phone in order to have a little bit extra money. This was years ago. But I sold a newer cell phone and bought a cheaper, less expensive, not very nice cell phone in order to have a little bit extra money. I think I had an extra $200 or $300. That $200 or $300 I could then take. I could buy things. Let's say a shirt, used electronics, right? Video games. I could buy them locally. I could flip them on eBay and turn that $200 or $300 into $1,000 or $2,000. Right? That's something that you can do as well. I'll even put a link to one of my courses. It's called Thrift Store Profits, where you go and buy a item from a thrift store, like a video game, a board game, some shoes, a book, and you can flip it on eBay. I'll put a link to that down in the description box as well. So make sure you go and check that out. I think it'll come with like a 50% discount or something. So again, check that out down in the description box below. But then you got 17.9% of people borrowed money from friends and family. One of the hardest things to do is you borrow money from a friend or family member, because then every time you see them, they're likely to be reminded of it, and it just makes it awkward, right? It's a very tough situation. It says 17.6% dipped into retirement savings. I've been talking about this for the past 2 years, where we're seeing people are pulling money. Just look at this article as well. It says Americans are yanking money out of their retirement savings to cover bills. It says hardship withdrawals on the rise as more Americans tap retirement savings. This was from November 30th, 2023. This is something that we continue to see. People are just pulling money from retirement because they have no other options. Credit card debt has rose so high, so fast. There's many people that are skipping their payments on their credit cards because they can't afford it. They're opting to ruin their credit in order to make sure their family has a place to live, a roof over their head. And for that, well, that's never something you want to do. But for me personally, I would ensure that my family has a roof over their head before I worry about my credit score. Ever. Hands down. It's an easy decision. Here's the next one. 15.6% said they delayed or skipped healthcare or medical treatments. We see this one quite a bit. 14.7% said they worked a side hustle, such as an Uber driver or food delivery. Like I said, go and check out the Thrift Store Profits course. It will be linked down in the description box below. You can go make a couple $100 just in their first week or month. I've had people make excess of $400 or $500 in just one trade, okay, in just one purchase, where they bought a used electronic item, and all of a sudden it was worth hundreds of dollars. Flipped it on eBay and made money quickly. Okay? It happens all the time. It says 14.3% of people, they received a financial gift from friends or family. Again, this is happening where people are just gifting money because they cannot borrow it, because the worry is they will never be able to pay it back. So now people are just gifting people money. And I get it. Now, here's the interesting part. Everyone says home prices are going to go down, rents are going to drop, because we're going to see the Federal Reserve cut rates pretty soon. Well, here's the thing. I want to show you this. This is just from today. It says relatively high chance of no rate cuts this year, according to JP Morgan. Now, here's what I think is interesting. If we see a rate cut, normally we see prices go up because now more people can afford to buy. And as more people can afford to buy because rates are going down, prices for real estate goes up. And if prices go up, that usually means your rents are going to go up as well. So rents and mortgage, again, getting more expensive. Just because you are locked in a home right now doesn't mean the price is going to stay the same. Insurance is going up, especially if you have a mortgage. Insurance is always going to be a factor. Insurance lately, it's insane, especially if you live in a place like California, even Florida. Insurance prices going through the roof. Now, here's my advice to you, because I know a lot of people are making sacrifices in order to afford, whatever livelihood they have. Maybe it's an apartment, maybe they have a condo or a home. It doesn't matter. Maybe they have car payments and maybe student loan debt. Here's what you need to understand. You need to learn how to create a budget. Okay? There's a very cool little thing. It's called Clever Fox. You can see it right here. This is the Clever Fox Budget Planner. I highly recommend go and get something like this. Okay? It's $20 right now. I'll even put a link to this down in the description box below as well. This is something I've talked about before. If you cannot create a budget, you do not know how to plan, then you are going to blow through your money. All right? So keep this in mind. The American people, as of right now, are sacrificing so many things just to be able to afford their place to live. Again, whether it's an apartment, a house, condo, could be a trailer, doesn't matter. You want to make sure you have a place to live. You have a place you can call home. So I will leave you with that. If you have any questions whatsoever, please ask your questions down in the comment section below. But that is what we know as of today. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.